Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Model Railroads and Structures Show. In this episode, we're going to continue on with Gillmeister Coal, Part 4. I took a few days off of building this kit because I wanted to size up how I was going to set things up on the base. Having done that, it's time to start back up. Stay tuned to the end of the video where I'll ask a question so you can answer in the comments. Before we get to putting the coal kit onto the base, we need to add the coal bunker, where the railroad comes and drops the coal off out of the hoppers. From this bunker, the coal is transported up an elevator into the coal tower itself. I painted all the plaster pieces camouflage tan as the base coat and let it dry completely. Plaster pieces soak in a lot of paint, so it's nice to prime them first with a like color. After the primer has been cured for a day or so, I added aged concrete, then set it aside to also dry. I'm using a 2-inch thick blue foam base for this project, and its size is 2 foot by 2 foot square. I'm adding a few buildings that I'm working on at the time to just get the feel of where the coal tower fits in a city block. I want to create this as a city block because these coal towers their whole purpose was to serve the community. And these days I kind of like to do city scenes because I find out in the community people like to do industrial scenes, and I don't see many well done city scenes. So it's my challenge today to build nice city scenes. The rule of thumb for city placement is to take your time, try out a bunch of different angles, get your camera out and try to take a photo of what you're trying to put together here. You know, it's real easy to hide a model all too effectively behind another model, and that's not my goal here. What I want to do is I want to build a coal kit that it can be photographed from all 4 sides and still be seen. At the same time, I want the model to look so busy that if you don't look in the right spot, that coal tower will be hidden, as well as a bunch of different scenes that you can find throughout the model. A model isn't just one scene. It's probably to me, it's about 6 or 7, sometimes even 20. This is a 2 foot by 2 foot base, so I have a lot of space to capture the day-to-day city life. There's a lot of people who live in a city block, and I have every opportunity here to depict that in miniature. The reason why I used the 2-inch thick styrofoam base is because of the coal bunker that I'm about to cut out. This wouldn't work with a smaller base, so I kind of had to use the 2-inch variety. Also, for those paying attention, you'll notice that when I first sized up where I was going to place this coal tower, I wanted to do it in the corner of the layout where my hand is. However, when I installed the coal bunker, I installed it backwards. So the coal tower had to go onto the other side. And that wasn't a disastrous mistake because I could have just flipped the coal bunker around. But I decided that it was a better placement to have the coal tower in the middle of the layout than in the corner. that's just the way modeling goes. Sometimes you have to decide, you have to reassess your plans halfway through. Personally, I think it works better in the middle of the layout because it gives me a lot of space for various different things. It kind of constrains the buildings I can put in beside the coal bunker, but we'll get to that when we get there. I'm just fitting it into the layout here, and I'm gonna have it sit up a little bit because I'm gonna put in my own railroad ties. I'm not using pre-engineered track. I'm gonna hand lay my own track here. I'm happy where the bunker's been placed, so I'm just gonna glue it in with my trusty weld bond. I'm gonna let the glue sit overnight so it can really cure. I don't want the coal bunker to move now that it's been placed in the layout. Also, make sure that the coal bunker is flat. We don't want it to be crooked in any way because the trains are gonna run over top of it, and you know how trains will show you when you have a uneven track surface. So this is the point where you're witnessing me figure out that I've put in the bunker the wrong way. Unfortunately, or fortunately. But again, I say it's no big deal because you gotta, when you're working artistically, I'm not building a prototype structure here, so I'm working artistically and freelancing, and what I want to do is I want to get the best scene, and I'm walking around the table right now and figuring out the fact that I've got the bunker backwards and that it's a good thing because I'd rather the coal tower in the middle anyways. Fully decided on the placement of the coal tower. I want to get the coal bunker cleaned up before we get the coal tower glued into place, or not cleaned up. We want to dirty this. Best believe we're gonna dirty this up right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my Indian ink and alcohol mix. I see a lot of people who have different ideas on what Indian ink should be. Some say that you shouldn't use 70%. Some say it doesn't matter. I'm in the boat that it doesn't really matter when it comes down to it, because when Indian ink doesn't work or is not gonna work, I'll just use my oil weathering solutions anyways, or powder weathering solutions. Indian ink and alcohol is an old school method that is complemented by many more techniques available today. Off camera, I put together the roof of the bunker where the elevator goes in. And in the kit is also an I-beam shaped piece of strip wood that I painted oxide red, and that's where the rails are going to go across the bunker for the hoppers to sit over. Again, before I glue down the coal tower, I want to have everything set up on this bunker to be able to make sure that the coal tower is placed in the perfect position. So to be able to get my I-beams into place, I'm gonna have to put down the rails and get a track gauge to make sure that it's gauged properly. Also, I design by look, so I want to get the rails in there so that I can see exactly how the scene's gonna look. Sometimes, you know, I'm gonna change something just because of how the weeds are gonna fit in, or the scenic materials. Expert track layers at this point will probably start to shed a tear at the way I'm putting these tracks together. I don't know really, because I'm not an expert track layer. However, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue in the first side. I'm going to put a set of wheels on one side of the bunker, and then I'm going to put a set of wheels on the other side of the bunker. And while the glue is drying, I'm going to use the tweezers to make sure that they are the right distance apart. After all, this is going to be a dead-end track, so there's not going to be any running trains coming through here, and I imagine a derailment every now and then in a section, a not maintained section like this would be fairly common. So now this is where things start to get fun. I pull out my MIG washes, which are an oil-based weathering solution for military modelers. I'm going to use the brown first, and then I'm going to come back with the black. The brown adds color, whereas the black will take away the extra color that I don't want. You know, the brown will mimic like a rusted solution, and the black would be oil or creosote from the coal. I'm just gonna hit all the surfaces with the brown, and I'm gonna come back and hit the rest, and hit around where the train goes over top and where it drops the coal black. So basically on the outsides is gonna be brown, on the insides is gonna be black. And lastly, I'm going to glue down the ties on either side of the bunker so that I can get them perfectly flat with a great big weight. I'm using weld bond glue to glue the ties down to the scenic material, and getting a helping hand from Jess as we can see. So now I'm finally sizing up where the coal tower is going to sit. Still no glue. I want to mock everything up. I'm going to glue the elevator to the base and paint all the doodads just to get everything done so that the elevator is glued to the tower, not glued to the base just yet. There's all kinds of little parts that still have to be added to the coal tower, but they couldn't be added before because the elevator goes subsurface, so the coal tower really couldn't stand up straight with the elevator on it. So I'm adding the parts and painting them as I go. After everything's glued in, I'll start weathering it. So rust color polyscale is pretty much the same as red oxide red. So I'm just putting them in. Once you add a little bit of weathering, the reds don't show too much of a difference. Actually, you can barely tell at all the more weathering you add. However, we're just gonna finish things up here. Like I said, we're gonna have to add windows to the hoist house above. Now we're gonna add the rafters to the hoist house. We're going to cut the rafters using the templates provided in the kit. You just line them up. I use my finger to size it all up. You know, if you're worried about fidelity and all that stuff, you know, you could mark it and double check and all that stuff, but I don't do that stuff. Once the rafters are glued to the hoist house, I'm gonna use CA to glue the metal to the wood. As some people may know, it's really hard to glue metal to some mediums, plastic for instance. It's a really hard task to do. Some people say to use 5-minute epoxy. I just use CA, and then I tell everybody, don't touch. Also, all my metal sheets are different sizes, but we're overlapping these, so it doesn't really matter. Okay guys, so another episode of Model Railroads and Structures Show is in the can. That's the completion of Gillmeister Coal Part 4. The question for today's episode is, do you like voiceover to videos, or do you like live build videos? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like the videos. Also, if you want to support the show, please check out patreon.com/Ron Pare. And as always, thank you for watching.